In 1492, Europeans reached North America, leading to centuries of exploitation and suffering inflicted on the indigenous population. But what if they didn't? What if, instead, a different cataclysm devastated North America? Perhaps a mysterious purple streak that split the sky from south to north, leading to hundreds of years of freezing temperatures, encroaching ice sheets, and a climatic shift that left millions of people fleeing their homes and struggling to survive. Well, that's exactly what happened in Coyote Crow in the year we know as 1402. The people of Makasing call this event the Awis, or the Darkest Night. Makasing is the main setting of Coyote Crow, and it covers the area that we would call America and Canada. Makasing is bordered in the north by the permanent ice zone and to the south by the Ezcan Empire. There are 5 nations in Makasing: the Haudenosaunee Confederation in the northeast, Tiswak Alliance on the northwest coast, the Dene Republic to the west, the Kitawagi Federation in the south, and the Freelands right in the middle. The Freelands consists of a handful of independent cities, the largest of which is Cahokia. Cahokia doesn't control the Freelands, but it has a lot of influence over it. Alongside the cities, the Freeland is home to many tribes. Cahokia is where our story will take place. After the Awis, many thought that the Great Spirit had abandoned Makasing. A century passed where the weather was still harsh and continued to fluctuate, but people began to find new methods of farming that managed to keep them alive enough to settle down again. Over the next 2 centuries, with a steady supply of food, medicine and technology was able to develop, and the 5 nations were formed. A strange purple mark began to appear on plants, animals, and people: the Adenati. It was cultivated and bred to cause a reaction in humans when it is consumed, and the Adenati led to even more development, including the invention of the first 3D printers known as GATs. A break in the weather allowed the nations to come together. The next century marked a time of cooperation and exploration. Voyages were sent outside of Makasing, but few returned, and those that did brought legends of powerful beasts. When the weather grew harsh again, a war broke out, known as the All Tribes War, that lasted a decade. Cahokia managed to come out relatively unharmed, but the war took a heavy toll on the other nations. Several decades of peace followed the war, while the nations grew more isolated and nationalistic. About 15 years ago, the weather finally broke and returned to something like what it was before the Awis. Since then, Makasing has flourished in every way, especially in Cahokia. And that brings us to now, the year 710. 7 centuries after the Awis, the people of Makasing are in a new age. This new age brings excitement, but also fear and anxiety. Nations and factions are looking for advantages, and everyone is looking for a way to build a better life. Cahokia is the biggest and best city in the Freelands, and a multicultural hub, a leader in technology, and a powerful cultural influence in all of Makasing. It is a sprawling, energetic city with 2 million residents, located on the Mississippi River. Due to the wide variety of languages spoken by the different cultures in Cahokia, a language called Chahi has developed. On top of Chahi, almost everyone in Cahokia knows plain sign language. There is no rampant poverty in Cahokia, and petty crime is rare, but it is still a dangerous place where clashing belief systems lead to tensions that simmer under the surface. With new opportunities comes new conflicting power dynamics. Cahokia is broken up into 7 districts. To the west of the city is Papanshin, where the food is grown using canals that bring water to the crops from the rivers. The Chizzy district rests between the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers. Chizzy means tongue. You might notice that the district is shaped like a tongue. With trade along the river, Chizzy is always full of people shopping for goods, especially tech and exotic foods. Natsuwanka Hapaki Hospital and its botanical gardens are the center of medicine in Cahokia, as well as the rest of Makasing. The large residential district, Nihikungi, is populated by trade workers and researchers and butts up against Yatisigami Lake. The most ancient part of the city, Matawi, is home to the city government, politicians and bureaucrats, as well as temples and stadiums. The islands that sit in the Mississippi River make up the district called Hapiki Mininan, where the various schools are located. Nabanamo boasts a wide variety of entertainment like restaurants, comedy clubs, nightclubs, and more. As you might expect, entertainment in Cahokia differs from entertainment in our world. For instance, while we enjoy poetry and comedy, they enjoy comedy and poetry. When we go out to eat food and listen to music, they would rather have a meal while musicians perform for them. Maybe things they enjoy aren't so different, but the way they think about them can be. For instance, comedy is as important to healing in Cahokia as medicine is. Most people in Cahokia are in some way spiritual and deeply connected with their tribal beliefs. These beliefs are intertwined with their views on technology, and spirituality is not seen as in opposition to science, but rather an important part of it. Medicine is holistic and looks to heal the body physically, mentally, and spiritually. With these advances, people regularly live to be 100, with the oldest person in Cahokia being 142. One overarching thread unites these belief systems: the Great Spirit. She embodies nature, the universe, and more. Along with the Great Spirit, people believe in all sorts of other entities that represent almost every aspect of life. There are as many holidays in Cahokia as there are days in the year, but there are 4 that stand out. Winter Rebirth, a week-long celebration that surrounds the winter solstice where people give gifts, share meals, and celebrate the coming year. Dancing Bear, celebrated during the spring equinox, is where unmarried people dress in costumes, dance, cook meals, and generally show off and try to find love. Fire Festival, not that fire festival, falls between the fall equinox and the summer solstice. There are even more costumes, usually of animals and spirits, with large gatherings to share meals and recipes. And finally, Great Spirit Day on the summer solstice, where people pray for the return of the Great Spirit and celebrate their mothers. This holiday is more solemn than the others. In Makasing, time is viewed as a cycle as opposed to a straight line. Homes and shops in Cahokia are built into the ancient mounds that have existed since the city was founded 1,000 years ago, before it was abandoned and later revitalized. The harsh weather after the Awis made people build their homes down into the ground, while the surface is littered with food gardens and public spaces. Most of the diet in Cahokia consists of fruits and vegetables, though the city maintains hunting areas where wild bison, elk, and other animals are hunted. Food is prepared at home and at restaurants where chefs cook one big meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and everyone sits at communal tables to eat. Yaupan tea houses are especially beloved and can be found easily. Families often live together with several generations under one mound, but it is common for children to share their time among other homes of close friends and relatives. Organized education is new to Cahokia. Around the age of 11, children start taking classes at the publicly funded schools and universities of Hapiki Mininan, learning science, technology, art, and trades. After completing their education, People in Cahokia are expected to spend 2 years engaging in community service before finding work. While work is not mandatory, most people are happy to do it full time, viewing it as important and fulfilling. Cahokia is the birthplace of abstract money in Makasing called Nizi. It started off as hemp paper money, but is now mainly digital. There are few restrictions on what can be bought in the markets of Cahokia, and black markets do not operate in the dark. The ruling body of Cahokia is called the Council of 12. The councilors were originally elected to represent the 12 major tribes in Cahokia, but is now based on status and are lifetime appointments. There is no standing army in Cahokia or the Freelands, but there is something akin to marshals called the Suyata. There are at least 10,000 of them that roam the Freelands, but the Council of 12 keeps their real numbers secret. They do everything from espionage and warfare to public order and security. They have broad authority, with one of the only restrictions being that they cannot kill unless it is to save someone else's life. The main goal of justice in Cahokia is rehabilitation. In rare instances, people will be banished. In every aspect of life in Cahokia, art and culture is revered. Any bit of infrastructure or technology is made to be beautiful and meaningful. Cahokia is a canvas, and the people are the paintbrush. The Adenati appeared about 300 years after the Awis and is seen as a gift from the Great Spirit. It was first used for all sorts of things like medicine and ceremonial paints. As science progressed, the Adenati was discovered to be a form of life never seen before, and that the Adenati could be purified and used to cause radical and permanent changes to human physiology if given to a child in adolescence. About 20% of people who take the Adenati develop special abilities that affect their bodies and minds. These abilities further drove the advancements in science, technology, and culture, though nobody understands exactly how it works. The Adenati ceremony is an important rite of passage and taken very seriously, especially when choosing a path. Paths are based on the animal that the Adenati is harvested from and determine what kind of ability you can develop. Some abilities have sparked controversy and raised questions. Some questions are as simple as if people with physical abilities should be allowed to play in sports leagues, while others are more complicated, like how wasp sting allows someone to inflict harm on others at a distance. Some are concerned that coyote's gaze, which can influence other people's decisions, is a threat to autonomy and privacy. One of the most important technological advances in Makasing is Yutsu lift technology. By applying electromagnetic energy to Adenati, negative gravitons are produced. This technology can be used to direct water for irrigation, move vehicles like sunwings, land barges, and personal mobility devices, or to power weapons. These are all common sights, like how it powers the Yutsu train that runs through the underground tunnels all around Cahokia. GATs are 3D printers that use biofuels as materials. They use blueprints called woyi to create all sorts of objects, including weapons. Personal computers called Nisi, not to be confused with the money, Nizi, are ubiquitous. They're worn on the forearm as well as available in homes and public spaces. The DASO functions like the internet, but is not completely connected. The Freelands is connected by a DASO network of cables, towers, and transmission balloons, but other DASO networks are private and might cost Nizi. Not Nisi. Nizi. Cahokia has developed a type of virtual reality called Second Eye. They're slim glasses with dark lenses that people use to watch live recordings of music or other entertainment that is rarely realistic but usually more abstract. Using a second eye is considered very rude in public. Now that you know more about Cahokia, it's time to roam free, create art, make friends, explore the unknown, bash some guy with a war club. Cahokia is a canvas, and you are the paintbrush. Wait, I already said that. I'm going to leave it in because it was pretty good. Okay, bye.